Hello and welcome to our continuing adventures on the Let's Defend platform. Today we are going to take a whack at the free, medium difficulty, incident responder path challenge of brute force attacks. So what do we have? Our web server has been compromised and it's up to you to investigate the breach. Dive into the system, analyze logs, dissect network traffic, and uncover clues to identify the attacker and determine the extent of the damage. Are you ready for the challenge? Or are you up for the challenge? It looks like we're going to get a Linux VM, typical loadout underneath the root directory or root user on desktop, challenge file folder, and brute force.7zip. Looks like password's infected, so that's standard. There is apparently already a written walkthrough. Yeah, I don't really care so much about that, but I guess it's nice to know in the event I get stymied or something else like that, and I have to take a look. Got the VM spinning up right now. Regarding questions, what is the IP address of the server targeted by the attacker's brute force attack? Which directory was targeted by the attacker's brute force attempt? Identify the correct username and password combination used for the login. How many user accounts did the attacker attempt to compromise via RDP brute force? What is the client name of the attacker's machine? When did the user last successfully log in via SSH and who was it? How many unsuccessful SSH connection attempts were made by the attacker? And what technique is used to gain access? Now we're going to go ahead and fire that off at a new tab so it's a bit bigger, hopefully, maybe. Fingers crossed. Oh, okay. It figured itself out. It just took a second. It just took a second. Oh. Oh well. I suppose we can actually. Does it make it bigger? Hey, can we literally make it like full screen, full screen? I mean, okay, I can get behind that. All right, and we got delay with the drawing. Of course, I'm routed through a local country, not going direct, so I guess I really can't complain too much in regards to that. Okay, so we'll go ahead and open that up, and we get a brute force folder that is 7.6 megs. We give it the password infected, and we take a drink of coffee. Okay, and it looks like they've already done most of the work for us in terms of, okay, we're not getting a full triage image. It is just what we need. So obviously the PCAP will be there for the actual network side traffic, and on Linux systems, Auth.log typically keeps the login attempts. So we'll probably have to use like RDP for the use PCAP for the RDP, and then auth.log for trying to pull together other information. So we'll just go ahead and start getting these suckers launched and open in the background. If it'll open, maybe, possibly. Oh, there we go. Just taking it a second. All right, so then to refresh ourselves, what's the first thing that we're shooting for here? The IP address of the server targeted by the brute force. Okay. So actually, we should be able to, what is it? Is it analyze or is it straight statistics? No, it's going to be statistics then. What do we want? We want IPv4 statistics. And then we're effectively looking for, okay, where are the number of stuff going? Okay, so if we do this by count, we're looking at a grand total of 21,000. I'm assuming these are packets. We have 23,199 to a 51, 116, 96, 181, and then 23,225 to 192, 168, 190, 137, which I think that's an internal address. So if we take a look back at the question itself, my typical motto is use the test, take the test. I mean, right there, we got the two IP addresses. So I'm assuming, okay, we're looking at both the public or internet facing, which looks like that's going to be that 51 because it starts with 2 asterisks period, 3 asterisks period, 2 asterisks period, 3 asterisks, which pretty much fits 51.116.96.181 and does not fit 192, 168, 190, 137. So realistically, then we're just going to go with the 151 or the 51, 116, 96, 181. So the other I always forget about the ding. Always forget about the ding. I don't even know as to whether or not if that happened to actually go through be picked up by the speakers. Okay, so realistically, the way that the question is asked, yes, you could probably be right with either or, as long as that's the actual internal IP address of the server itself that's being hit. As the question is, okay, what is the IP address of the server targeted? Well, I mean, just like anything else, you can have a public and you can have a private. So realistically, it does seem like they want the public, considering the fact that where it was just acknowledged that everything's good to go, and we gave the right answer. So that might be one thing I might suggest, the public. But also, if you kind of know the aspect in regards to looking at the asterisks to give you a general idea as to the key format or the answer format, it would have been a little bit more obvious doing the counting like I demonstrated. But okay, then we're looking for what is the targeted directory for the brute force. All right, so we go back to this, and we lost full screen because I went back and forth. Is this one still going to? Yeah, that one's still going to, so okay. I think we're just going to deal with it in a smaller window. Maybe if I were to break it out, do its own separate thing, but I think that it's not going to be worth it to fight with it. Okay, so we had brute force. So can we find any sort of evidence of said brute force? As we're just kind of flipping through this quick. We got a lot of TCP, which, okay, great. Okay, well, typical server is going to be HTTP. So I want to see quickly what we are looking at. So if we break out on the bottom left for this, okay, we can see evidence of the brute forcing right off the bat. Username T3M0, password test. Okay, so what are you whacking this against in terms of directory? I mean, it doesn't look like it's a directory. It looks like they're just targeting the index.php. You'd be like, okay, What makes you say that? Because what we have is post. So typical ways that you end up seeing the web traffic or HTTP stuff is get and post, and they are literally so get and post, or send and receive. It would be another way to look at it, where get is receive and post is send. And so we are recording that there is traffic going to, henceforth the post, to index.php of what we're noticing for the actual username and password, what looks to be brute forcing, because there's just a fairly constant string. And that actually does look like that might be a valid answer, because when I think directory, I'm thinking, I mean, sure, there's probably like an index.php or index.html, something like that in a directory, but I'm expecting to see like www.example.com/login and then breaking it fully down /index.php. I would expect that, okay, what directory being targeted is the index, or not index, but login, that particular folder, if you will. But no, apparently it's index.php, even though that's a fight. Okay, identify the correct username and password. So we know that we're getting them in the actual data in the lower left for those posts. And then the responses, so 200 okay. And it looks like it comes back with incorrect. So doing the okay, so then effectively what we're looking for is probably some version of correct. So we want to search to the best of our ability. We are looking for string. And because if they do incorrect with a capital I, I'm going to assume it's going to be the same, capital C for correct. Let's see as to whether or not if I just bugger this whole thing. No packet contains that. Well, I guess it would kind of help if I would actually search for the right area. So yeah, we want packet details because it's going to be this lower left section. Okay, let's see if we get this. Incorrect. Okay, case sensitive. We get green. It looks like packet 22249 contains correct. So then we would look at the next one that are the corresponding post, which looks like that would be 22247. What happened to 22248? I don't know, but and it looks like it was web-hacker with admin 12345. And okay, how do you know that they're put together? That may not have ever been explained. So notice we've got currently 22247 highlighted. If we go all the way to the left, you'll see some back and forth arrows. So that's denoting that these packets are, okay, 22247 is the post to the server, and then obviously the arrow going the other way would be the response from said server, which would be in this case 22249. Just some of those things that I don't know if it ever gets explained at any particular aspect. I don't think I've ever called that out. So if you use Wireshark, that's one of the nice things to sit there and take a look at. So you have some sort of situational awareness as you start diving into the packets. So they specifically want what now? Oh, they want username and password. Okay. Well, we found it. Web hacker, and then we're doing a colon and admin 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe? Okay, good. So I might have to sit there and look to see if there's a second correct somewhere. But no, that was apparently it. Okay. Now we move on to brute force. But why would it show up as... Yeah, I don't know. It just seems weird. I guess, what are the ports being used? Source port 39066 and destination port 80. '80 3906. Okay, I guess we're looking for RDP then. Was there an actual okay, there's a straight packet filter for RDP. It's using the standard source port of 3389. At least I think that's the standard source port. Oh, we got a client name, T3M0-virtual-MA. Wasn't there a name of the... I think that might have been the next question that we were looking for. Okay, so that was basically just looking at a client data. I mean, it's assuming that I've actually got this right. So, okay, we'll skip past the accounts. Let's see, does it fit? It does fit the typical format. So that was T3M0-virtual-MA. And that's correct. Okay. So, and that was basically done by switching from HTTP to RDP and then taking a look for underneath the info pane, a client data package, and then breaking down the remote desktop protocol, client data, client core data, and looking for the field of client name. right there. But that still doesn't answer the question of how many accounts were attempted. I mean, do we get like positive? Okay, so it's like, okay, stuff sent over. And it looks like it's just basic information back and forth, but I'm not seeing anything in here that's like, no, negotiate request, negotiate response, license request. Hmm. SSH. Okay, we don't have anything in there, so that means we're going to have to switch over to the auth.log. Which is fine. I'm going to have to try to go back and figure out how from the PCAP we're going to get anything worth a damn. Okay, so we need, when did the user last successfully log in? And who was it? All right, so refresh. Okay, this looks like this is going to have what we need. So this looks like line 25 on the auth.log. You'll see, so February 24, 10/14/08, we get a line of accepted password for mmox from 196.136.60.15 port 32976 SSH2. Which means we are looking for accepted password as our item point. All right, so it looks like there's 27 of these. So let's just go ahead and upend this to the very ass end. Because notice we were, what was it, February 24th, I said? Yeah. So this is working top down, and of course, screw me, I did not record the line, which looks like 21736, February 25th, 11:43:54. We get the same aspect accepted password for mmox from 4138.160.33 port 54464 SSH2. So February 25th, and it's mmox. So that looks like, oh, and then they just want time. They're not looking for date. Okay, so it looks like that's mmox. And now we just apply the time, which I said was what? 11:45:54. 11:45:54, right? 43. Okay. So then what we want is we need to find this, but in reverse. So we know that it's accepted password. It's going to more likely be at the... Okay, here we go. Here we go. So we were looking at 25, so it looks like 23 and 24 have done the work for us. It does look like instead of accepted password, the phrase we're going to key off on is failed password for MOX. And it looks like, okay, so they were popping from 196.136.60.15. So then theoretically, if we just ever so slightly move the mouse because of the delay, it's killing me. If I didn't have autist levels of patience to a degree. Okay, so if we take this, there are doing highlighting that, copy, Control F for find, popping that in there. Even though it was highlighted, it was already there. We get 48. Are they looking for a no, that's wrong. There's not enough of that because according to this, it's 48. But it looks like it's got to be 4 digits. Okay, so how about this? I'm making the assumption that MOX was the one that was... Woof, okay. That escalated quickly. So it was not just MOX that they were attempting to sit there and take a whack at. It looks like it must have been other things as well, because if we trim off the 4 MOX for just failed password, we get 7,480, which is a significant increase over the 48. So 7480, how does that look? That looks correct. What technique is used to gain access? Oh. We're doing MITRE. Okay, that's fine. Should just be attack.mitre.org. Assuming that hasn't changed. No, that's still there. That would be credential access, brute force. ID is T1110, subtechniques 0.001, 0.00. Yeah, tactic is credential access. They want what? What technique? Let me guess. It's going to be the actual ID portion that's in there. So T1110. So it's going to be 5 characters, which is what it seems they're looking for. Let's find out. T1110. Enter. Okay. I am not going to complain. Not that it would do much good. Okay, so now we are stuck with the aspect of, okay, RDP. And we saw RDP traffic, but we did not see. So it's not in the auth log, which means At least I can't imagine that it would be in the auth log. I guess before we take that down, can we just do RDP? Oh, yeah, we got plenty of that. XRDP sysman, username Mox. We get 1,852. And it looks like they're all going to be mentioning, okay, I have an idea. I don't know if it's going to work. But let's try going nuts. So we're going to grep for a thing in the thing with the thing and the Jello pudding pops. Okay. So we're going to grep for XRDP sysman inside of crap. You know what? We're not in the directory, are we? No, we are not. I should know better. But apparently I do not. Okay, so brute force. Now we're in there. Okay, so now we're going to grep. Is it XRDP sysman and then file? So auth.log. Okay. Okay, we get a decent amount. User unknown. User mox. Okay, can we look for something a little bit? Yeah, let's try this. I don't know if it's going to work, but it's an awful lot to be trying to grep through. We get nothing. What if we just try to break this down a little bit more? Okay. We get mox. And then that's it. So I guess the question is, all right, because it looks like all they did was try to take a whack at mox. One? No. And yet that's the only thing that's there for RDP brute force. But what I notice is, and most of these tend to follow, where, okay, Wireshark might be the first 7 of 10 questions, and the final 3 will be a log file, something else like that. And that is thus far held up, except for here. So maybe I'm looking at this wrong. Maybe they don't mean RDP brute force. Maybe they're talking about like the HTTP brute force, but they've got the thing wrong. I mean, because if we look at auth.log, the only thing that shows up for the constant use of the XRDP is mmox. And I'd prefer not to sit there and brute force and iterate. Okay, so let's approach it that it's quote unquote wrong. Refresh my memory then, because we just immediately jump over. Because we're looking for, yeah, we just had found the correct username and password that involved web hacker. And then we immediately start pulling information for the client machine, everything else like this. I almost think it's going to be a count for the HTTP. So, okay, if that was the case, then we were looking at HTTP. Okay, so we end up with all that. This would be the point where I would use Network Miner. Because you could just sit there and count the different usernames that would be run through for this. Because I'm assuming this would have been captured. Actually, you know what? That's exactly what I want to do. Not to be a butt. I mean, I will still try to go through and do this. I think I have an idea as to how this can be done in Wireshark. It's more of a pain in the posterior as opposed to just running it through, but analyst, that's who we get the SSH creds for. So if I go back to this, and I got a connection issue, I swear. I really don't. But they don't need to know that. All right, I'm going to pause this right quick, and then I'll come back. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of cheating. Kinda, sorta. Okay, so pulled the PCAP down, dumped it into Network Miner, let it chew through it, went to credentials, and we can see MIME, and we have username, password, test, which was the first one that we looked at for T3MU. So we have T3M0. So T3M0, 1, Mo Salah, 2, Messi, 3, Web Hacker, which we did find was actually valid, 4, Kareem, 5, Mustafa, 6, Mamax, 7. So, question, is that literally what you're looking for instead of 1 is 7? That was it. So now the question is, okay, we did it in Network Miner. How do we do this in Wireshark? I mean, I suppose the aspect is you could sit there and do the search for incorrect and take a look at the submitted data as we go through. and sit there and try to keep count. I mean, they're going to show up in there. That's going to be a pain in the posterior. Even I don't want to go through and have to do that much slicing and dicing. But we're on a Linux box, so we have grep natively, everything else like that. So there is a feature. You can export items in Wireshark. I have to remember how we do this because typically I don't export. And we're just going to call this export. So that was have everything or filtered to the point where you want it. So in this case, we're just doing HTTP as the filter. You're doing, once that's applied, file, export, packet dissections, and I'm just doing it as plain text. All packets collapsed. Okay, so then, granted, yes, okay, we're not doing it all entirely inside of Wireshark, and there might be an actual filter, something else like that out there that would give us exactly what we were looking for. I suppose I should try before doing this particular aspect. So where's the form data? Form item colon space u. Okay, I have an idea then for how we can do this. We're gonna do form item colon space double quote username space. And okay, so we already have T3MU. So we're going to try it this way before we try using the export. And we are just going to brute force this. We're going to brute force the brute force. Mosala. Messy. Web hacker. Kareem. So 5. Mustafa. Mamax. And then we loop back around back to T3MU. So yes, you can brute force it. You just have to have a strong index finger to sit there and click that mouse. So that was doing a search packet details as opposed to, what was it, packet info? Whatever. I did case sensitive to try to break it down a little bit more because we've got representation as to how this is supposed to be formatted. We're doing string, and then we're just using what shows up underneath here. So form item colon space double quote username double quote space equals space double quote, and then you would have the username, and basically just searching through all the HTTP data. So the other aspect is, yeah, I'd rather type a little bit more because it probably would be less. Excuse me. So if we go brute force, we've got export.txt. We open it up, and we got all this good stuff. So my thought is, can we not just grep? Ignore case. We're looking for username through all that. And we watch as the Linux box tips over. I guess the other aspect I should have been concerned about is, okay, how big? Oh, 515.6 kilobytes. Shouldn't be that bad, geez. Oh, jeez. Never mind. I know what I did wrong. Herp, derp, derp, derp. What did I leave out? The file name we're supposed to be running this thing through. Okay, and we get name equals username. Okay, take what's coming through there, and then I want unique values, so UNIQ. Okay, we get the same thing here. Form item, username. All right, what if I can't imagine it's really going to make that big of a difference, but what if we cat export.text, take what comes through, grep it for username, and then find me the unique values. Yeah. So what if we do again with this form item? Can we do what would amount to like a freaking double quote? No. Well, I mean, it does give us. Guess I didn't really think that one through. Oh, we get plenty of that, but we also get the aspect of okay, I had to do some quick research in regards to options regarding grep. So I was using lowercase I did uppercase F for fixed string going through. So you notice I left everything in there. So instead of using everything wrapped that I'm looking for in a double quote, it's a single quote. So, and then to make, can we do this without running it through cat? So can we just grep, we're looking for this from export.text. Okay, we get the same exact thing. So grep will run through and do it. I was thinking maybe there was just something not quite right. Because I got into the habit a long time ago of going through catting a file and then taking that to grep. But apparently grep is a lot more versatile than what I was originally giving it credit for in terms of files. So yeah, to basically make it a one-liner, you grep dash or space dash capital F space single quote form space item colon space double quote username double quote single quote space export.text or whatever you named your txt or plain text export as space vertical line space UNIC. So that's basically just to pull the unique instances all the way through. Otherwise, we end up with, if you didn't go through and do the, is it Linux lesson? we just get a long list of all these. So instead of getting the duplicates posted all the way through, it just grabs the unique values, which would be every single username, once, and displays it. So there we go. Proven that we can do it via export from Wireshark with a little bit of grep. Proven that we can indeed actually do it as long as we know specifically what we're looking for. It just takes a lot of single clicks to go through and search through everything. And then obviously the quote-unquote cheat tool, network miner. So realistically, if you're not handicapped, by requirements, nope, sorry, the only thing you can use is just what's supplied to go through and do the analysis, which would be Wireshark and a text editor and your basic Linux commands. Okay, I mean, but it's always nice to know that there's something out there that potentially can make it a little bit easier. So there we go. We have answered these specific questions. I still have an hour on time. We're just going to terminate this because I am not going to waste processing power on Let's Defend's end. There we go. We're done. We have completed the medium difficulty, this was what, incident responder path, brute force attacks. So hopefully you've learned something of the different ways I've gone through and tried to approach getting some of these answers. Obviously, some of them are extremely straightforward. Other ones, you can bang your head against the wall, or you can sit there and just try to make things easier. Up until the point of trying to make things easier, actually put your head against the wall, like trying to figure out the grep. So I guess it's kind of important to sit there and know your grep command flags. But anyways, with all that being said, that's all done and over with. Enough waffling, and I will see everybody in the next video.